Hello, Frank. Welcome back. How are your adventures abroad?
I don't know what you're talking about. I just went across the bridge to GDC last week.
How was the bridge?
It's all right. I tend to avoid rush hour. Worked out okay.
Have they updated the questions 3 recently that you have to solve in order to cross?
Yeah, they're all about Salesforce now.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. I'm glad I haven't had to do that in a while.
Yeah, you have to pledge allegiance also to big tech.
And they check to make sure your fingers aren't crossed behind your back.
Right, they do, yeah.
Looks like you're stuck on the shores of hell. The only way out is through. This is episode 281 of Insert Credit, a video game talk show where a panel of experts is governed through an agenda of predetermined topics with a horrible buzzer. I'm Alex Jaffe, and my secret character unlock condition is to check if you've read the entire in-game codex.
I hate being first. My name is Frank Cifaldi, and my character unlock, like what you gotta do to unlock me in the game.
You got it.
Is that it? You gotta go through the entire concept art gallery that's included. You gotta look at it. You can just flip through it real quick. It doesn't matter as long as each one is loaded once.
Yeah, you can do that in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I'm Tim Rogers, and my character unlock criteria is, I'm going to speak exclusively to the PlayStation gamers in the audience, is you have to get the Platinum Trophy, at which point I'm unlocked and I'm useless. Thank you.
Wonderful.
I'm Brandon Sheffield, and to unlock me, you have to collect 5 VHS tapes from around the various biomes, and then I just show up and you can't get rid of me.
Yeah, like all good secret characters. Joining us this week, Twitch streamer and cultural connoisseur Casey Explosion is on the show. Welcome, Casey.
I didn't have anything prepared, but I'm playing a lot of Resident Evil at the moment. So let's say taking a nap in a certain safe room.
Oh,
I'll just unlock then.
So you show up on their chest like some kind of sleep paralysis demon.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it. Good vibe.
Very good. Oh, and to be clear, nobody's prepared, so you're not alone. In case you weren't,
we're only prepared by years of doing this.
Yes,
exact
if
sort
you
of
weren't
thing.
notified, the lack of preparation is part of the whole deal.
Yeah, I'm going to present these topics and nobody has heard of any of them. Except for the person who wrote the first topic, which was not me, because every single episode of Insert Credit has a winner, which I determine based on who did the best this week. And the award for that is having to come up with a question for next week. And last week's winner, Vincent Diamante, wrote in this question. Have you ever put yourself in danger, knowingly or unknowingly, while acquiring a video game? Were you in the wrong part of town, connected with shady individuals? And would you ever do it again?
Okay, I think I've got the answer here among us.
Oh, baby.
In 2004, I believe it was, budding young video game journalist, but also archivist of unreleased software at that point already. Flew myself out to Long Island, New York to attend the Acclaim bankruptcy auction.
Yeah.
They had filed Chapter 11, they were done, and all the stuff that was in the building was being auctioned off by... I don't know, the county, maybe? I don't really know who gets the stuff. But anyway, it was basically auctions for like, do you want this desk? Do you want this couch, right? Do you want this beautiful Sub-Zero refrigerator?
Wait, I thought you said it was an Acclaim auction. That sounds like a Midway auction.
Oh, good joke.
Acclaim published the home versions of Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
So,
joke rescinded.
Stuff it.
Yeah, that displayed a surprising lack of Mortal Kombat knowledge.
Come on, Jeffy.
I'm actually really threw off my story. I don't know if I can continue.
That was a flawful loss, is what that was.
Well, we have our title.
So I showed up with a big coat and went around
Big Coat Frank
snooping, trying to like quickly go through things like financial records, see what happened, stuff things in my pockets that were going to get thrown out, builds of games and such. I went through like the QA section and any disc that was on the desk. I was like, that's mine.
Disc on a desk.
Disc on a desk. That's how we rescued things like 100 bullets.
A
And,
disco to desk. That's how we risk. Was that the old motto for Frank?
That was
back
the
then?
motto of Lost Levels at that time.
Oh,
That's right.
Oh, wow. Very good.
But the whole time there were these very threatening. I know it was Long Island, but they struck me as Jersey. Very threatening, like white hair, slick back Jersey guys, like watching everyone to make sure they weren't stealing. And it was
So it looked like they get chicken spaghetti at Ciccolini's, live for New Year's Eve, white Ferrari, that kind of guy.
White Ferrari for sure. I don't understand the other references though, but gold chains, stuff like that. Watching me, and it was kind of a stealth game. I was caught more than once.
I'm watching here, is what they said.
I was caught more than once, opening desk drawers to be like, what's in here that I should steal?
Yeah.
So almost got kicked out twice, talked my way out of it. I don't think they would have killed me or anything, but it felt dangerous.
They probably wouldn't have sold you a slice of pizza, is what you're saying.
And that was actually a danger, was that I did bid on things like this box of prototype cartridges, right? Like I bid on stuff like that. And the danger was I would be kicked out before being able to actually purchase anything to save, which ended up being moot anyway, because everything I bought was stolen from me, ironically.
Oh, geez.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's a real shame. I got my only one is when I bought a PlayStation 3 at the behest of my division chief at Sony, who said, everyone please line up and buy a PlayStation 3 at different electronic stores throughout Tokyo. I had a friend holding my place in line as they were starting to sell, and I saw some dudes with a truck, and they were loading up PlayStation 3s on the truck. The first this story's gone around a lot. The first 200 or 300 or so people in line to buy PlayStation 3s were homeless. And they had been given the equivalent of about $100 or $10, I think it was, to stand in line. And then they were handed cash by a person standing up near the entrance of the store to purchase the PlayStation and then give it to a person on the way out. And I, an intrepid journalist, had followed, in addition to an intrepid blogger, in addition to an employee of Sony Computer Entertainment, had followed one of the people giving the money to the homeless people to a truck that was completely filled with PlayStation 3s. And I was like, hey. And they were like, can I help you with something? I was like, what's going on here? And then some guy got out of the truck, out of the driver's seat, and he definitely had a gun. And I was like, I just kind of turned around, and the guy was like, get out of here. That's the closest I don't know if that counts. Does that count?
He probably didn't have any bullets. He probably had the gun.
I'm going to go ahead and say the dude definitely had a gun with bullets in it.
Well, it's an unknown amount of bullets, and in my story, there were 100 bullets.
Hey!
So I'm in the lead here.
The guy had his hand in his coat and everything. So it was, I was like, I shouldn't be over here. I was wearing a PlayStation sweater, a little hat and everything. I had a little hat on.
Yeah, they don't want to see that at that time.
Nice little raincoat.
Casey, you ever put yourself in danger for a video game?
I don't think so.
That seems like the best way.
I am boring compared to all these stories. I have Ireland isn't all that exciting.
Well, I got
Anymore.
one. I got one. Two. I have two.
Yeah.
One which I may have told briefly. This is in pursuit of a video game getting made more than in purchasing one. But when I was shooting the extras for SNK 40th edition with digital clips, we were shooting in front of buildings and we did not have permission to do so. And one of them was a trucking concern. And, trucking and shipping is a classic space for pompadour-wielding individuals in Japan to work. And so some real rough dudes came out asking what we were doing there. But then it got smoothed over, being like, remember SNK? And he's like, yeah, I know that company. They were like, oh, well, we used to work here, and we're just filming for the old times. He's like, oh, okay. Well, if it's old times, that's fine. That's that story. It wasn't very dangerous. But then another time I was in Hyderabad, India, and looking for the Indian exclusive PS2 games that were there. And there was a big cow off to the side of one street.
Oh, big one. Yeah.
Just a big boy cow with big old horns and such. And I was like, oh man, big cow. And then I started going over to that cow, and then somebody was like, don't you touch that cow. and then I didn't. That's my story.
That sounds real tricky.
Yeah.
How many bullets did the person have?
No bullets.
Of all these stories, I was the one literally purchasing a video game. And do you know what that game was? That game was the Ridge Racer 7 downloadable demo.
Oh, nice.
Is what
I did buy a game. I bought Raw 1 for PS2 right after that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize you picked that up. Good for you.
Yeah, I got it.
I was purchasing the Ridge Racer 7 demo, and I was purchasing the Casino Royale trailer and a Toro Mainichi show.
Yeah.
That's the enjoyment I got out of my PlayStation 3.
I just plugged my PlayStation 3 back in. It's
Oh, that
now
rules.
functional and attached to my television.
And yelling at you for not shutting it down correctly.
Oh yeah, it loves that.
It loves it. That's its favorite thing to do.
So was I not purchasing a game? I believe I was purchasing.
You were trying
You
to.
were
multiple
purchasing,
games.
sure.
You were trying to.
Yeah, they were
It's
purchased.
just, I mean, at the spirit of the question, I don't know. I just kind of interpreted it as, I don't want to split hairs about the spirit of the question I did not write.
I acquired some games.
Yeah, I guess we all did these days.
Yeah, I had a story, but I didn't acquire any games in it, so I'm just not going to tell it this time.
Blast.
How many bullets?
Here's my next question. It's been a year now since the release of the Steam Deck. Has it lived up to everything we thought it would be?
I like it.
I love mine.
See?
Great.
Next question.
Next question. All right, Steam Deck's great.
No, I do. I like my Steam Deck. I got a big TV, and I have bad eyesight just in general. So that's why the big TV, first of all. Like, the big TV's not to brag about owning a big TV. I would take a tiny TV and better eyesight any goddarn day, you know. I'd give you my life savings to we don't need to get too dark here. So for me, if I want to really enjoy a game, it's got to be on the TV. But the Steam Deck screen is like big enough that if I put on some reading glasses, I can actually see it pretty well. So that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. It could use a bigger battery, perhaps. To be portable for longer.
Bigger battery, better battery. If they do a hardware revision that has like an OLED screen, like a brighter screen, would be nice as well.
On the development side, it's a little weird that it's 1610, I guess. So you gotta have a special little mode, or else your game looks weird.
A little weird they went with that particular aspect ratio for the screen. It is a little strange. I like the idea. I like knowing it's right there. I can almost reach it with my hand. It's like right near me. I like knowing that got all those personas in there.
What games benefit most from being on the Steam Deck?
Well, I'll tell you. Having a Yakuza game on there and doing some side quest stuff in a Yakuza game is like a good example of how to use a Steam Deck, in my opinion. Because then, you know, if you want to take on a story mission, put it up on the TV, right? You know, enjoy the cinematic bombast on the television, whereas you can enjoy the more grinderly stuff on the handheld.
That seems all right.
Right? It's nice. It's a good
Turn
little.
it into a little Animal Crossing.
Yeah. God.
So there's a lot of games that I play on the Steam Deck, and I was very interested in the Steam Deck in the first place because I have been a bit of a proponent of handheld PC gaming. So before the Steam Deck, there was lots of other little devices, and one that I had was a GPD Win 2. And it's like a little clamshell kind of device, and I still use it. It's like about the size of a Nintendo 3DS or something like that, the XL.
That's not one of the Game Park devices, is it?
That's not the one that we got ripped off on. Did you also get ripped off on that one, Brandon? Or was that
I got
just me?
ripped off on the Pandora.
The Pandora, that was it. Yeah. We both got ripped off on the Pandora.
Oh no,
The
what's
GP Win 2 does exist.
Yeah. Well, Pandora existed too. But,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it existed, just not for us.
Yeah. Are you familiar with those, Casey? The Pandora?
No, I don't think I am.
It was very similar to what you're talking about, and it was kind of the first, I think, product in that. I don't want to say lineage because they're not necessarily related, but it looked like a DS, but it was a functioning window PC with a keyboard and D-pad and buttons and everything. And Brandon and I paid a lot of money and then never got ours.
Yeah, you see, your
That's a
problem
shame.
there is Pandora is mainly valuable to collectors. That's why you never open the box.
Okay.
So I have to give that a slow clap.
That's a little forced.
Yeah, it was a situation where, like, the initial person that we paid, we got in too early. that person couldn't fulfill their orders, but the person who took it over afterward filled their orders, but only the ones that had been paid to them specifically. So, like, if you paid before that, you didn't get it.
That makes
It's
sense.
amazing.
I mean, well, the Steam Deck is like a real one of those.
Sure, it's real.
I mean, what features did the Pandora purport to have that would have delighted you beyond belief?
Full keyboard.
Full keyboard?
I mean, well, I think the main thing is I would have loved to have paid $550 for something instead of nothing. I think that was the main thing I was going for at that time.
Yeah, that would have been a thing. Huh?
But yeah, Casey, is the GP2 Win one? Is that one of the Game Park ones, or is it?
That's Gamepad Digital GPD.
Oh, GPD. Okay, never mind. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's something else.
GPD Win.
Yeah, so there was a GPD Win, and then there was a GPD Win 2.
I'm looking at it here.
And I backed the Indiegogo for that, and I was very nervous because it was a fairly decent chunk of money for something that I wasn't entirely sure about. But yeah. I got this thing, and I ended up using it so much more than I expected, and playing a lot of games like Slay the Spire. And a lot of little roguelikes and things like that. Terrific little indie game machine. And I was kind of like, ooh, Steam Deck was announced. And I was like, hell yes, I'm getting in on that. I love PC gaming on a handheld because what I found was really useful is that a lot of the time I could be playing a game on my desktop, pick it up straight where I left off on the little handheld. And I'm somebody who is very, very tired a lot of the time, and it's great to be able to just like play the games in bed and just
yeah. The Steam Cloud saving stuff works so well on the Steam Deck. It's really nice.
So then I got the Steam Deck, and I was kind of expecting, it wouldn't be like the most amazing graphics and things like that for a handle. I was shocked at how well some of the AAA games ran on that, because I was expecting,
it's not too bad.
It'd be great for all the indies I'm playing and things like that, and ended up being shocked at how good Horizon Zero Dawn ran on it. And just I played through most of the Uncharted PC port on the Steam Deck and just had the best time with that.
I played Days Gone on it, and I was really surprised that I'm getting like 60 FPS in Days Gone.
Yeah, I was watching Chris Graff play Assassin's Creed. Looked pretty good.
Yeah. Things really, it's a good thing. Heck of a thing.
I've got a more general question for you. What are your habits, given a functionally infinite library of games in the modern age, when choosing what game to play next?
Choosing what game to play next? Well, I'm unfortunately professionally invested in a roster of games. Alex Chaffee's perhaps familiar with. Alex Chaffee's familiar with, I think, 112 of the games that are on my playlist.
Yes.
So we always say on here, at least I always say, the reason old games are better is there's more of them, right? So there's more old games than new games. So it's like picking which old game I'm going to play next. It's like even if I didn't have a list of the next 220 some games that I'm gonna play, I feel like I could open up the Mister, and I've just spent my whole adult life preparing to be the sort of wine guy in a restaurant regarding myself and what video game I want to play right now. I saw somebody saying on the Action Button Discord the other day that they don't like having too many games on their Mister. They like having a curated playlist of games. They don't want to put a full library on there because then they end up browsing the library for an hour before bed instead of playing a game for an hour before bed. I just don't have that problem at all. I'm not bragging about this. Maybe this means I've fundamentally plunked too many upgrade points into this exact quote unquote skill of being able to just pick a game and just tunnel into it. But yeah, I just I'll be like, well, it's almost bedtime. What am I going to play? And then I'll just play something. I don't know.
So I'm not a very digital oriented person, and so that kind of ruins the question. Not on purpose, more through sloth and laziness. than anything else.
You done filled your house with games.
I filled my house with games, and so I can look at them because it's easier for me. But anyway,
Yeah.
I tend to want to play a certain genre, I want to play a Valis-like right now, or I'd really love to play a chill platformer, or what about an RPG where I just hit the button?
Mm-hmm.
And so I tend to try to go for one of those. But if you don't know what they are, that's where the challenge arises. Like, once I do have a Mister, which eventually I will, and then I got a full set of Super Nintendo ROMs, then I'm going to be like, all right, let's check out the Valis likes on this, and I'm not going to know what they are, so I might have to ask somebody. So I guess that would probably be.
I just pop open Google.
I might check the Google. I might look for some recommendations. But one thing I have found myself.
I want to play a Wolf Team game for the Super Nintendo, and then you'll be playing Neugear.
That's right.
After a single Google.
Well, one thing that has influenced me lately, or I have started thinking about lately, is like when I see an interesting older game cross my path that somebody is talking about that I have not actually played, but I maybe know about, I'll just make a note of it, so that I'll play it later, especially for consoles that I'm not virtuosic on. Little note document for things that might be fun to check out.
You mentioned getting a Mister and having a full set of Super Nintendo ROMs, but I just want to let anyone in the audience listening know that a Mister's not just for a full set of Super Nintendo ROMs. You can also put a full set of PlayStation 1 ISOs on there.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
And I'm just letting everybody know.
Okay.
People always jump to Super Nintendo when they're talking about the Mister.
Well, I was talking about Super Nintendo because that is probably the largest unknown territory for me.
No, it's Amiga.
Oh, yeah, Amiga. Okay, that's true.
MSX. That's what the Mister is for me.
I don't need no MSX. It's too old.
I was going to say, can you play those on Mister?
Casey, how do you decide what game to play next?
Sometimes I don't. I have that problem of staring at my library sometimes and not knowing what to play next. But
you know what I've done recently?
I don't.
What I've done recently is I will take a random number generator, force it to give me a number between 1 and 6, determine the corresponding letter. It's like, okay, the next game I play, it has to start with the letter W. And that's how I started playing The Walking Dead for the first time today.
That game's all right.
It's fine, but I had never played it, and I probably never would have if not for this weird system.
It's like The Last of Us.
Yeah.
But
not as good.
Different.
I think finding any sort of system that you can work with and sticking to it, that's probably the key. I mean, Frank was always, he's always talked about selecting something at random and just like scrolling down the list till there's a funny name and choosing that. And I think that works too. As long as you stick with some idea of like, okay, this is my method. I think that's the thing to get you out of the rut.
I don't even need a method. I mean, I like channel surfing old games. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the people who are like
that can be fun
bothered by that need to calm down and just embrace it, because that's how you find weird, funny stuff, or interesting, inspiring stuff even.
Good stuff.
I mean, I didn't play anything good last night, but I did this last night. I was like, Game Gear tonight. Letter A, and I played a bad Asterix game for 20 minutes.
Probably a decent animation.
I suppose all those good Asterix games out there.
There's the Konami arcade one's pretty good.
All right.
I just want to say that our decisions on which video games to play this year, at least for the year 2023, just got a lot easier.
Oh, because of
E3 2023 has been canceled.
Has it?
Wow.
Oh, whoa.
Just
really?
posted it in
That
the
just
Discord.
happened?
Yeah, it just happened about 6 minutes ago.
Oh,
Whoa.
man, breaking news.
Yeah, it has been canceled.
It's over.
So there's not going to be a whole lot of hot tapes being announced.
Man, I was really looking forward to going to the bad E3.
Oh, I mean, well, I just want to say you asked a question in the Action Button chat the other day if we were going to E3. The answer is absolutely not. And now it's 200% absolutely not.
I mean, I haven't seen an official.
This is IGN. They know what's up at the very least regarding. Yeah,
Iggen says it.
Right.
Yeah, I posted it in the general chat in the insert.
I'm gonna take me a look.
Take a look at it. Go ahead and click on that.
Yeah.
It's done being canceled.
Whoa.
So where are we going to get all the hot tapes this year,
Dude?
I feel like I hear Nintendo and Sony are thinking of just doing stuff on YouTube. That's a joke about how that's my new character, guy who thinks Nintendo Direct was invented very recently.
We've been talking in some other spaces about how there's probably going to be a re-reckoning and coming back together because all of these separate digital shows are getting diminishing returns these days. True. All of them are getting smaller and more diluted. They were really big for a while, but I think eventually they're going to have to come back together, and maybe it won't be E3, but something's going to occur. I don't know if it's going to be Jeff Keighley's deal, but something.
The Summer Game Fest is, I think, I mean, why not Keighley? Why don't just go and let it be Keighley? Who cares? Just let him be the guy. Whatever, I don't care.
All right, enough of this. I have more pressing news to talk about. Last week, the final episode of the Pokemon anime with Ash Ketchum as the protagonist.
Ash Ketchum, yeah.
So he's out of the show. They've retired him. They're bringing new guys in. I want to ask, after like 25 years of this, how would you have ended the Pokemon story?
Ash goes, wait, that's it? He just catches a really inconsequential Pokemon, and then he gets like a little blip like on his like flip phone. I don't know if he has a flip phone. He flips the phone open, and it's an update, and it's like, congratulations, you caught them all, and like that's it. It's just from like the government. And then he's like, wait, this was the last Pokemon? And then he's really sad.
And then Is That All There Is starts playing.
Yeah. I was hoping that maybe just like Pikachu has a rogue accident and accidentally shocks him to death, and then Pikachu's just crying, and
that's a little
Ash is dead, and that's what happened. And Misty goes on to become a billionaire tycoon, right?
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, why not?
That's a weird turn for Misty.
I feel like you shouldn't just keep Ash in there. Just keep it going. I mean, who cares? Keep it going. That's what So I guess my apocalypse version is my response.
What's Ash has been? He's been trying to get all the Pokemon for what, 25 years, something like that.
It's
I
true.
don't think he's ever been trying to get all the Pokemon.
Well, whatever the story is,
he wants
he's
to
trying
be the
the
best.
winner. To be the very best, the best there ever was, etc. He's trying to get recognition, which is, first of all, good luck with that, kid. And second of all, it's it's not The Simpsons, right? He's not Bugs Bunny. There's continuity in there, isn't there?
Yes.
I don't watch the show Pokemon.
It's loose, but it's there.
I've seen snippets here and there. There's continuity. He gets new Pokemon. He meets new people. He goes new places. The viewers have changed, probably, right? Where it's people age up and out. They hit the ceiling, and then they start watching, I don't know, HBO prestige dramas or whatever.
At the same time, I think it's the audience is now 40-year-olds and their 10-year-old children.
Yeah, and their small children. Yeah, so it's there's continuity, and it's just, again, it's not The Simpsons, it's not Bugs Bunny. Wouldn't that kind of make people just kind of a little hungry for some kind of a closure on the character?
Yeah.
Like, past a certain point, anybody can just write, not anybody, but, anybody could just write a character having hangout character moments, but it's like, it's got to serve as some sort of catharsis both for the writers and the staff and the viewers and the voice actors and all of that, to just have some kind of developmental closure on the character, right? That's not, again, I'm saying with just no investment at all in the show.
I mean, I think Ash Ketchum should change his last name to Ash Ketchum.
Caught him.
Yeah, caught him. Yeah,
he's over now.
They marry into the Caughtum family.
Yes.
Sure.
Is that's revealed to be his girlfriend's last name or whatever. I don't know what the story is. Does Ash Ketchum have a girlfriend?
He's had girls who are interested in him, but I think he's only ever been interested in being the very best.
Being the very best.
Yeah, he's like 11 anyway, right?
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
He's perpetually 11.
I have no idea, because I was never really into Pokemon. It seemed to kind of just pass me by as a kid, but with knowing as little as I do about the anime, Ash busts a criminal organization who are trading in black market Mr. Mime meat.
Oh,
yeah.
The final episode, it just takes this dark noir tone out of nowhere. It's bleak. Why not? Pokemon noir.
No, yeah, I could see that.
I'd watch that. That's
Yeah.
what everybody wanted from like the Detective Pikachu movie,
Yeah.
which only had like the tiniest little,
Oh man.
like Animaniacs level of like toes dipping into any of those sorts of genres.
I wanted just a big adventure because they showed some of that in the like teaser, and then they didn't have that either. So
Yeah.
So who was it for? Ryan Reynolds fans, I guess.
it's for Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
Yeah, real interesting that, and then he turns into a human at the end. Is this spoilers? He turns into human Ryan Reynolds at the end, and then you have this weird moment where you're like, I guess Ryan Reynolds like literally is old enough to have a teenage child, and then I'm like, you start to remember Googling his age a few years ago and saying he's the same age as me, and then I'm sitting there watching that movie and I'm like, I just wanted a big Pokemon adventure. I didn't want to know that I could have a child graduating from high school right now.
Oh, Lord.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to realize
I think we're going to have to go to the break on that. We'll be right back. Wow, E3 is canceled.
Man, I can't believe it. It's funny that this is breaking news to us, but to everyone else, all the takes will have been finished by the time they hear this.
Yeah.
That's podcasting for you.
I know.
This is podcasting.
This is podcasting.
This is podcasting. Welcome back to Insert Credit. It's time for us to go back into the dirt bag. This is the part of every episode where I take one of the questions submitted to us at patreon.com/insertcredit, where you listening right now, if you're not already, could subscribe for mere dollars a month to send us those questions, get monthly bonus episodes, and other stuff we're currently talking about.
We got so many bonus episodes now. There's like
How many bonus episodes we got? A lot.
it's like 33 of them.
Yeah.
If you're like, oh, you know what? I like this show, and you wish there was more of it, guess what? There is.
Yeah, what do these guys talk about when they're not being prompted by Alex Jaffe to talk about a specific thing, or willfully ignoring that topic to talk about another thing? That's what you'll find in the bonus feed, as well as the forum that will allow you to ask your own questions like Scoregem did.
Scoregem?
Yeah, Scoregem asks, the Friends of Ringo Ishikawa had
Good
a
game.
smoke cigarette button, a walk like a delinquent button, and you could choose to look out the window during school and get a worse grade. What other games have actions that let you roleplay?
I don't know if anyone ever actually played the Wee Boy and His Blob, but there was a hug button that I assume did nothing.
Why not hug a blob though?
That's pretty good. I mean, I guess the obvious pet dog thing is there, so we'll just throw that away.
Oh, and then that brings to mind A Dog's Life, where you can poop for no reason.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
There might be like a puzzle you solve by pooping, but for the most part, it's just there because the developers are British.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And they said, oi, gov. How
Yeah.
about this one, mate?
I mean, like
Right.
the pooping alone isn't that funny, but what I actually like is that you can then pick up the poop with your mouth and throw it at people.
Oh. Yeah, the common thing that all dogs do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Man, that Dog's Life was a heck of a weird game.
It's a very weird game.
We played a fair amount of it, and it just kept getting stranger.
I was really pleased to find a soda machine in a later level and then report it to Jess Morissette for his video game soda machine project.
Mm.
Jess then went to try to find it and could not find it. And it turned out that the European version has a dog treat machine where
Whoa.
our American soda machine was.
Wow.
Oh.
And it was like a branded advertising tie-in for a real dog treat. So that's what you get today, folks.
A region-locked soda machine.
Look at that.
Interesting.
You got to buy all versions of A Dog's Life, it turns out, if you want to get the true full experience. Okay, other
You get
buttons.
the platinum for sure.
Other buttons. There's the sit in chair in the Castlevanias.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. I like to sit in chair. And then, it does have a fun. Well, okay, I guess in Friends of Ringo Ishikawa they have functions also, so it's okay. But
Let's
yeah,
just
sometimes if
load
you
it
sit
with
in a
that
chair
stuff.
like in front of a piano, then you'll play a song, or the fairy will come sing a song with you. I like that.
The Mario button in Luigi's Mansion.
Mario. Oh yeah, there's also what is it? Kevin? No.
Don't say, come on.
Yeah.
Don't need to bring this goddamn guy into this thing.
I don't remember it.
That goddamn guy.
I know
what the
it,
name
but I'm
is.
willfully not
I don't remember
saying
what the button
I
is.
know exactly what the button is, and I know exactly what the name is.
But the play of my game. I'm a French. video game where you can hit the button to...
As they say in Italy, don't play that a game. Don't do it.
That's right.
It's just not the one. That monster has gone long enough.
Yeah.
Casey, got any useless buttons you press in video games?
Every button I press is useless.
Blast it.
No, I'm kidding. Gun spinning buttons in Dusk. It's this old school style first person shooter. If you're not familiar with the game, it's excellent, and it has very old school sensibilities. As in, you don't reload weapons, but instead of a reload button, where you might expect a reload button, your Dusk dude just spins his weapons around.
Twirls the gun.
It's just nice.
Somehow
Dusk
this
is
reminds me.
Phenomenal video game.
Has there been a racing or driving game where honking the horn had a use?
No.
I don't think so, because you can honk in a bunch of them, and it's just like, yeah, it's a car. You should be able to honk the horn. So there's quite often a button to honk the horn, and it's really
scare
funny.
The birds in SnowRunner.
Oh, there you go. It's not that a big vehicle driving by would scare them. It's funny to me when games like switch up the change view button and the honk horn button or whatever, and so you just accidentally honking the horn when you're trying to change your view or something like that, or the reverse. Love that stuff. I love when you accidentally do something silly. That's a good time.
There's another game. Just thinking about honking the horn. It's a game, Dredge, that it just released today. I didn't get around to playing the full game yet, but I played the demo. And
that mysterious fishing game.
Yes,
we were talking about that last
Well,
week.
that's that game that came out that E3 sacrificed itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can use your horn on the boat, and you can kind of signal to other boats, and they will honk back. I don't know what else it can. I don't know what else it can do, but you're sailing along in your little fishing boat, tugging along, just going. And then out in the distance, you'll hear.
It's pretty good.
It's lovely. I can't wait to dig into the full game.
It's a pretty hearty recommendation right there. Little horn toot.
Yeah, little horn toot.
I could go for some tootin'.
I would just like to say finally here that Friends of Ringo Ishikawa is a very good video game. If anybody wanted to play a really good video game that both is and isn't, both is 100% and absolutely is not what it looks like when you just look at some screenshots or video clips of it. I had a very a mind-opening experience playing that game, and I thought my mind was pretty far open already. There's just like a button to press to smoke a cigarette on your balcony and look out at the city wistfully.
I think that video game certainly shows that making a video game for yourself or for a specific person is a valid and worthy endeavor. To make a video game that is very specific, niche, and trying to target your own sensibility, totally viable. Do it.
Very good.
The developer's father do all the pixel art for it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Had to teach Dad how to do pixel art, and Dad was like, okay. But the father was already something of a trained artist of another sort. But still, very impressive, very neat, cool thing to do, family affair.
And also is just completely full of ideas that are similar to ideas you've seen in other video games, but explored in just kind of very outsider ways, while simultaneously being a very coherent, entertaining video game.
Outsider hangout game, almost.
Yeah, it's got it all.
I might check that out next time I roll an F.
Nice.
Speaking of bad games we talk about too much, we do a lot of teasing of the BioShock series on this show as
That's true.
A series that makes pretenses at being a philosophical presentation, but fails to achieve any kind of nuance or even internal consistency.
I mean, it has a philosophy, but I don't know if we would aspire to it.
Are there any games that do what BioShock can't?
So is there anything we make fun of the sort of like, do you want to save this little girl's life, or do you want to murder her and get a Snickers bar? But that aside, what does BioShock do? Does it do anything other than, the would you kindly, like, gotcha,
Well,
we were controlling you the whole time?
BioShock was, I'll admit that, I wrote a negative review of BioShock back when it came out and got an endless torrent of hate mail for a while, which eventually stopped. I will admit that I was impressed with a couple things early in the game, up until the moment where I pressed a button and my guy ate a bag of potato chips out of a trash can. And then I thought that was funny, and then my switch was turned off in my brain. I was impressed with the environmental storytelling was the big thing.
Yeah.
You arrive on a little boat in this underground, this very lavishly realized underground or underwater city, that has all of the requisite science fiction world building attached to the airlock mechanism that your ship joins into. And you get out, and there on the docks, there's a bunch of abandoned luggage and a bunch of protest signs that are thrown on the ground that you can... This is 2007, by the way, right? You can use your right analog stick to look down at them and read the signs that say, "We want to get out of here. We're not your employees," or whatever, right? And you're like, ooh, something must have happened in this fancy utopia I viewed out the window of this little boat over the lavish virtuosic intro. Like, so the environmental storytelling stuff, again, right up until you eat out of a garbage can, right up until you find a tape recorder abandoned, which contains a 2-minute long message of a person narrating just very relaxedly the moments before their death, revealing where you can find a upgrade capsule or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
The Happy New Year space with all the abandoned thing, knocked over drinks and stuff. And it looks like it's going to be this sharp critique of capitalism. Yeah.
Like, so there's the environmental storytelling was in fact extremely dense and lavish and nice. I think Cyberpunk 2077 had a lot of really dense, like, looking stuff in only in like the main story missions, not necessarily out in the world, or main story missions and like the more marquee side quests. I think it really had a lot of really good environmental storytelling stuff in it.
Yeah, I think when you get your from the perspective of like telling a story that has a meaning to it that may be trite but actually feels nuanced. It's a common discussion, but Papers, Please does that better than BioShock did, certainly.
Papers, Please is phenomenal. I mean, and this is a game that gets talked about a little bit too much everywhere in the world, but The Last of Us 1 really did have some environmental storytelling stuff that is obviously only possible with like a mega huge Naughty Dog Sony budget, but like in the college campus part, there's like complete optional stuff that you can go into where it's like an abandoned dorm room completely full of unique art assets and just unique stuff there for you to look at and just kind of tell the story of like there were people living in this room for X amount of time and they must have left at some point. And you can pick up letters and lore notes and whatever and zoom them in and read them or whatever, but you don't even need to do any of that to just glance over at the unique art. So I would say The Last of Us 100% does what, like, throughout the length of the game, what impressed me about that first hour of BioShock. That would be like the definitive answer for me. And that's like a 6-year gap between those two games. So that makes sense. The same year BioShock came out, Call of Duty Modern Warfare came out. And I think most of the stuff that BioShock did, having fun with the first person perspective, I think Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare 1 did a million billion times better and released the same month. So those are my two answers.
It feels to me like the one of the many problems with BioShock was that there was theoretically a good walking simulator in there that was interrupted by a
hammy action system.
Yeah, by an action system that was kind of ham-fisted. And so when you split those two things apart,
shoot lightning at the water to shock the guy standing in the water, lock and key combat encounters. Yeah.
If you split those apart, the walking sims do a better job of engaging with the environmental storytelling, and then your Call of Duties do a better job of doing the action with some a little environmental storytelling in it, but not too much.
Well, I'm going to have to deduct points from all of you because what I wanted was specifically not to talk about BioShock, and instead we did that. Casey, do you have any games that, like, execute a philosophical idea in an interesting way?
You can say no.
My brain has gone to environmental storytelling, and I'm thinking Return of the Obra Dinn. So that's where my mind went, but specifically something more philosophical. There's a little game that came out. We were talking about walking simulators. I'm not a fan of that term, but there's a little game that came out. Was it last year or the year before? Called Adios.
Oh,
heck
yeah.
Yeah.
Where you play the pig farmer.
Yes.
And I said at the time it felt like what the Coen brothers would have made if they made a video game.
It's a high compliment.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see
say.
that.
Yeah, it's a good game. Made by our friend Doc.
Yeah, he's been on the show. Yeah, that's
Lawrence,
a great game.
Kansas, Larrytown, Kansas's own Doc. Yeah, good guy.
All right. I've got a new question for you, and after that, we'll go right into the lightning round. Here we go.
Okay.
This is one that I've had on the back burner for a few weeks. Now I finally have time to ask it. Imagine a graph where the x-axis is size and the y-axis is evil. Which video game companies are in the bottom right quadrant?
Smallest and least evil?
No. Biggest and least evil.
Biggest and least evil. Oh, that's interesting. Well, isn't Nintendo like largely owned by Saudi Arabia now?
Not that largely. No, it's a small amount.
Partially.
I mean,
It's not that much.
Any amount is too large, but
I would say, yeah,
But Nintendo's probably got to be the closest to largest and least.
yeah,
More or
because
less.
they got that Mario, but they did cast Chris Pratt as Mario.
It's true. It's a good point.
Shut down that Wii U shop.
Yeah, they shut down. They actively trample on their own efforts to. They're trampling on their own efforts to preserve their own video games. Right.
Send out those cease and desists to, like, everybody who tries to make a non-profit fan project.
Oh, a friend of mine was just telling me, actually, might interest somebody. A friend of mine was just telling me that they hacked their 3DS this morning, and it was extremely easy to do. So,
Oh, yeah?
isn't that interesting? That's neat, isn't it?
That's
neat.
interesting information to have.
It's neat. I mean, just, there's a case that interests anybody, check it
I think
out.
there's like a website for it, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's in the show notes or something.
It's interesting.
It would be interesting if something like that was in the show notes. I'm not saying it's
10
not.
years later, after the release of the Wii U, or however many years it's been, I realized that they have DS emulation on there. It would be really neat if you could just emulate all kinds of DS games on there and have the top screen on your TV and the bottom screen on your little controller.
Oh, yeah. Fun, weird, hacky, quirky, strange thing.
Yeah.
What's evil about Sony? Are they committing any human rights atrocities? Are they owned by, genocidists?
They look good because they're not trying to absorb as much as Microsoft.
I think they had a little... I mean, I'm trying to think of any of these companies don't have military contracts.
All this legal stuff lately is a little dirty. Yeah, military.
Microsoft has those military contracts with their AR things, so...
Unity's got military contracts now.
Certainly.
There was allegations of crunch on Naughty Dog, so...
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to be inevitable. Like, if we want to talk about crunch, I'm sure Nintendo will never... The allegations won't be revealed.
No, I'm going to tell
because
you...
it will just be presumed.
I'm going to tell you 100,000 billion%. I am an uncle. I don't work at Nintendo. I've known a couple people who do. Yes. I don't want to say any video game names, but all of your favorite big Nintendo games of the past few years are 1,000,000,000% the product of extreme crunch.
Yeah, sleeping under your desk kind of business.
Just letting you know. The difference is nobody complains. They should, and it's, whatever, but it's you'd think that a game that takes a long time to make, the way Nintendo's would, wouldn't have any crunch. But it turns out they just kind of have a lot all the time,
Yeah, they're just throwing people on the gears, basically.
But it's all just old chain smoking dudes who are like, yeah, I've been doing this for years. I don't care, man. You know,
I haven't seen my wife since 1962.
Yeah, my wife is a ghost. You know, like it's like that sort of guy. So it's they got him there, but they also got Splatoon.
That's right.
So it all comes out a wash.
Yeah.
Splatoon. So video game companies specifically is what we're talking about.
Yep.
One of the difficult things is there aren't that many big companies left because they keep buying each other.
Yes.
And the more they buy each other, the eviler they get because they just Katamari all the little bad bits together.
That's true.
Yeah, 2 companies have never gotten less evil for fusing.
Yeah.
How about Sega or Capcom? I don't know.
How big are
I
they,
don't
though?
know. I don't know. Like you're
Capcom's
asking
pretty
us a
big.
real difficult question here, Jaffe, because
Yeah,
Because it's the most top right or whatever, right?
the most
So it's
bottom right.
Bottom
Bottom
right.
right. Yeah.
Bottom right. Yeah.
Least evil and biggest.
So it could be the size of Capcom or Sega and
could.
still be the most, in that position.
I mean, based on just the vibes of their games, Capcom feels like a pretty solid bet
yeah,
because they just have a lot of cool, weird, quirky, chill.
they have a lot of turnover there at Capcom, or at least they did. So
Yeah.
in the U.S. for sure.
in the U.S. definitely,
Japan.
and we got to take the whole organization into account.
I mean, for example, we just knowing what we know about Konami, where they've had every talented person has left
Yeah.
for like different reasons at different times. We take it to mean that Konami is run by some sort of shadowy, evil cult. Is what we would just believe just looking at the way people have exited Konami.
Yeah.
Capcom seems a little more the Devil May Cry 5 combat designer leaving to be the lead combat designer on Final Fantasy 16, right? Like it just kind of seems more like
Your standard leaving.
yeah, just your standard sort of I'm going on my next adventure, But then again, Keiji Inafune did get kind of somehow awkwardly, slowly booted out of that particular company, and that guy was cool.
Yeah.
There is, Platinum Games, the dissolution of Clover and such. Is that evil though, or is that just a hard business decision that had to get made? I was at Sony. God Hand was not making any money, for example, right? Like, I don't know.
Speaking of evil, who's playing that Resident 4?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
I haven't started it yet. I'm totally derailing, but just because
I got that one, yeah. I got that one.
I've just sat up in my chair.
Would an evil company make Resident Evil 4 remake for all of your favorite consoles?
Right. See, because I've heard that the merchant doesn't always say, what are you buying? And what are you selling? And to me, that's
annoying. Yeah.
That's not a good change. They should make him be annoying.
Clearly not the forces of good.
They're back in the top right now.
He's good.
I think the resolution is that this particular quadrant of the graph is probably empty.
I think it's empty. But let's talk about Resident Evil 4 a little bit.
Capcom's closest to there, though, I'd say.
Yeah, let's talk about Resident Evil 4 just a little before going to the later.
Yeah, let's do it. Casey, you've been playing it.
I have. I've been enjoying it immensely.
I want to hear about the knife breakage because that was a little of a difficult idea for me because I was using the knife a lot, but I know that like you get a lot of ammo, so you don't really need to use the knife all the time. But the knife breaking feels
I tend to use the knife quite a bit. So you have your combat knife, and then you can pick up other knives, kitchen knives or boot knives around the game, and you can break them as well, and still rely on your more sturdier combat knife. And you can always go back to the trader to have it repaired. So I'm not having an issue with it, but I haven't played the original Resident Evil 4 because somehow that had been in my Steam library for years without touching it, and I always meant to get around to playing it because I was a huge fan of Resident Evil when I was a kid, because I had the original Resident Evil on the PlayStation on release, and Resident Evil 2 then was probably the first game I ever remember being absolutely hyped as hell for. I could not wait for that. Totally excited as hell. And then I kind of just, after the PlayStation, I went more kind of PC gaming, and I never really picked up a lot of the other Resident Evils until recently enough with Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil Village. Like, I was in heaven with those games because I was a big fan of survival horror. I credit Resident Evil with in a huge part igniting a lifelong love of horror movies, and I've been in heaven with it, like rediscovering something that I just adored and having the best damn time with it.
Yeah, that's a really interesting path to play the first two originals and
the third. Yeah, sorry, I did pray,
but not hit 4, which was like kind of changed the future of Resident Evil forever after that.
I know, but I think when that originally came out, it was on the GameCube first, wasn't it? Yeah, I didn't have a GameCube and didn't know anybody who did.
Blasted.
And
take that, Nintendo.
It was weird for it to just be on the GameCube. I remember everyone thinking that was strange.
But then it came out on PS2 like a year later, 2 years later. But with the Ada missions.
Eventually.
Wait, does the RE4 remake have the Ada missions? Does that?
I don't know. We've encountered her twice so far.
It would be after you beat the game, then you'd get some extra bits where you can play as her.
Okay, I haven't beaten the game yet.
If it's not in there now, it's like Capcom these days is they are so big on DLCs for everything.
That's okay.
They're very generous with that stuff. So
I'll get them.
Likely it will happen if it hasn't already.
Well, I'm really curious to see how it goes, because Resident Evil 4 for me was like the chillest survival horror, and in addition to the very excellent level designiness of the village in the first village, which kind of made me that pulled me through the whole rest of the game, hoping there was going to be a little more of that. Yeah, I'm highly anticipating, but I'm going to wait till I played some other stuff first, is what I think. Okay, we've talked about Resident Evil 4. Thank you.
All right. It's time for us to go on to our lightning round. This week, I'd like to debut a new game that I'd like to call Fursona Royal. Here's how this goes. I'm going to name a video game character.
Wait, is it Royal or Royale?
It's Royal, as in Persona Royal. That's the joke.
Oh, okay. I get it now.
Thank you. I'm going to name a video game character, and you have to identify what kind of animal their Fursona would be. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Ready as I'll ever be.
Your first character is Luigi.
Luigi.
All I can think of is goo, but that's not an animal.
No, he's a mammal of some kind.
I would say some sort of stoat or weasel.
Yeah, I was going otter, so I think we're in the same family.
I could see stoat.
I was gonna say a gecko, but then I started because he's green, and then I thought about gex, and the geckos are kind of weasel shaped almost. So I would say
I think with
weasel's
averages out to weasel. Is
what could possibly go wrong?
But a really scared one, right? Obviously, because that's his personality now.
I think Luigi would hate gex.
I love saying what could possibly go wrong when Gex comes up. I feel like
imagine if there was a frightened Gex, like a weak Gex.
All right, we can't do Bubsy jokes because Bubsy's creator died yesterday.
So. R.I.P.
Moratorium.
Was it the creator or the or the designer? What did he create?
A little of both. I mean, he didn't like draw the character, you know what I mean? But like he kind of project led. Like let's make a Sonic game. You know what I mean?
The Bubsy jokes are keeping the legacy of Bubsy alive. So I did see that happened in R.I.P.
But no jokes about how it's going to say it finally went wrong on his tombstone. That would be inappropriate.
No.
Our next character is Terry Bogard.
Terry Bogard.
Terry Bogard.
Terry Bogard's
like a pony,
like a lean sort of grizzly bear animal.
Oh, interesting. I was thinking like a jungle cat, but I think maybe you're right.
We're all over the place.
I mean, obviously it's a wolf. Like obviously, right? Like
he's busting them.
I mean, that's his whole thing. Is a wolf.
I feel like he'd be pretty basic.
Yeah.
Mark of the wolf.
So just something wolf and or.
It's just dog, just generic dog.
Yeah, a dog with a little star blaze on the chest.
It's golden retriever.
He's not going to put too much thought into it. I don't think it's just going to be. Yeah. Yep, let's go. Let's roll.
He's going to say dog, and someone's going to give him a golden retriever costume, and he'll be like, "Yeah, sure,
perfect,
that works."
Master Chief.
Master Chief is a turtle.
Very good.
He's in that shell all the time.
Yeah.
It's green.
Big old snapping turtle, though.
Yeah, exactly. He's cool but rude.
He's the fifth Ninja Turtle.
He is cool but rude.
He's not
pangolin.
There you go. Yeah,
right.
That's way better. Oolala from Space Channel 5.
Oh.
I don't know why.
She's a skunk.
I don't know why, but she's a seal. I have no idea why. I'm not going to back this up, but she's a
Well,
seal.
she
The
does
clapping.
have. She does have her ray gun has a ball on the end of it, and seals in the circus they always got that ball. They're bouncing.
And they're showing.
I see it,
They're entertainers.
but I'm thinking of something lithe and dancy as well. Seals kind of are in the water, not on land so much.
They clap on land.
It's true, they clap and they go or. All right, seals are best shot.
I think we gotta go seal. Here's a tough one for you. Sonic the Hedgehog. What would Sonic's Fursona be?
Oh, it would be
He's a big old werewolf.
It'd be a human man, so that he could kiss that sleeping lady with and feel a little less weird about it.
I don't accept
I don't think he felt weird at all.
Yeah, I think he was.
Wait, was he sleeping or was she sleeping?
He was
he was
sleeping. She
He
woke
was
him
sleeping.
with the
That's right.
kiss.
That's right.
Yeah, he didn't feel
Yeah.
nothing except her love.
If you watch that scene in context, by the way, it does not make perfect sense. Thank you.
It does bring a tear to the eye, though, if you get the context for sure. I think he would want an animal that he thought was cool, like a lion. You know, he's kind of like a teenage boy, right? So he's just like
And
an
he was a
alligator,
werewolf
dude.
already.
He
it's
was
true.
a werewolf at one point, though.
Yeah.
So I mean, he already we're kind of putting too many animals on
but
this
he
guy.
didn't like to be the werewolf. He didn't choose the werewolf.
Nobody likes to be a werewolf. That's the whole idea.
I think he thinks that Mecha Sonic is cool, but that's not an animal.
Yeah, that'd make sense.
I like the idea of a reverse Fursona, like a human Sona. So
Oh, yeah?
A reverse
I
Sona.
I like that idea, and I like to think because he's so fast in his own life. I
Ryan
think
Reynolds.
he'd be more kind of. No, I was thinking the actor who plays Colin Robinson in
Oh, yeah,
What We
Mark
Do in the
Roach.
Shadows.
Oh yeah,
That's
Colin
a great
Robinson.
Sonic pull.
Mark
But yeah.
Roach.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
good.
That guy's good.
I think he's just thinking somebody as far away from Sonic the Hedgehog as I can get.
Yeah, as long as he's role playing, he might as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, an experience. Just take a trip on the other side of cool.
Yeah, I like that. Your next character is Leon Kennedy.
Leon's kind of a dope, but
Yeah,
he's a useful dope, so I want to say dog again. But I don't. We already did dog, so.
part of the exploratory aspect of this here is being like there sure are a lot of male video game protagonists who are just dogs. You know,
Yeah.
it's a reliable sort of like Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War.
That guy's
He's a big old English bulldog.
Yeah, he's a bulldog
probably.
for sure. I think
Right?
that Leon is like a Doberman.
King Charles Spaniel,
Okay.
a
Sure.
Cavalier King Charles Spaniel.
Big floppy ears.
Oh man, we gotta have a show dog breeds version of this.
Yeah.
I think I would think more cat for Leon.
Cat?
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Leon it does mean lion, right?
Like a house cat or a jungle cat.
More of a house cat. But I don't know. He's agile enough.
And that dog does follow him around.
Yeah,
That's true.
He would pick a dog for himself. But Ashley would probably say, "No, you're more like a cat."
And everyone's drawing Ashley as a
She would
mouse.
scream it, though. She'd say,
So-
Leon!
Yeah.
And then she would explain.
Leon.
You're not picking your Fursona right.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
He could be like a Russian blue. I think it matches
Oh,
his
yeah.
shirt.
Yeah,
Sure.
why not?
Your next character is Bayonetta.
Bayonetta.
Ooh.
Oh, she'd be an avocado.
That makes me laugh every time.
Man, I love
yeah.
watching that. I love watching that video. It's good. Okay. Anyway, Bayonetta
She'd be a dolphin.
is a naked mole rat.
Can't see it.
Well, too bad.
Okay. I think she'd be a dolphin.
Sure.
Yeah, I could see that.
What about one of them pink dolphins?
She's not very pink though.
She's kind of pink. I guess she's paler, but
It's not her branding color.
she can be any kind of dolphin. It's fine.
All right. Your last four are Noctis, Gladiolus, Ignis, and Prompto.
Well, I was just gonna say that Bayonetta would be a mole because she wears glasses.
Oh, and she has a mole.
Yeah, and she has a mole as a beauty mark. They call it when it's in that exact position.
Before we move on,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking. I don't think Bayonetta would ever be tied down with just one Fursona. She would have a multitude.
A
And-
Pokemon party of them.
Yeah, she'd have a snake. She would have a raven. She would have just
All the goth ones, a bat,
exactly dozens of them.
black cat.
Different ones for different
Panther.
moods, for whatever the day brings for her. She has a different persona for it.
Yeah,
I
that seems
like
right.
that.
Yeah.
She's constantly reinventing.
A whole Chinese zodiac of
a Fursona.
Yeah. So as for Gladiolus, Ignis, Prompto, and Noctis, well, we've got Noctis is Leonardo,
Yes.
Gladiolus is Raphael,
Yes.
Yeah.
Prompto is Michelangelo, and
Right.
Ignis is Donatello. Like
That's
that's
correct.
obviously they're just Ninja Turtles, those guys. But
Yeah.
also you can they literally that's exactly who they are. But you can feel free to think of other animals if you'd like. Thank you.
Now, let's
Yeah.
say they're not all allowed to be the same animal.
Gladiolus would be like a Komodo dragon.
Sure.
You know, just a big, fearsome. Or no, Gladio would be he'd be a crocodile.
Crocodile just slurping down those noodles.
I think
Mm.
Noctis would be one of those fancy chickens that has the poofy bit on its head
Yeah.
and doesn't realize how funny it looks. I think that's what Noctis.
Or
would
he
be.
could just be like, remember the art in Sonic CD of like Sonic the Human? He would be like a more humanoid Sonic the Hedgehog,
Spooky.
who's not as attitudinous or funny.
Prompto. I'm going otter again.
He's an otter, yeah. He's
Yeah.
100% an otter.
I think he's awesome possum.
Oh yeah, dude.
and then Ignis is like, I don't know, an owl.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, he's
Wisens?
the owl from Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
The big old bird.
Casey, what's the verdict?
I'm not sure. I missed out on Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, if you want a fun game to play on your Steam Deck.
Well,
it's,
then let me
Yeah, give it a
close
shoot.
out by asking you this. Which video game characters are you absolutely sure have a Fursona?
Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War.
Yeah.
He's a big bulldog.
Yeah.
Kiryu wishes he were a dragon.
He's like a dragon,
He's like
but
one.
he's not a dragon.
He isn't one.
He's a horse.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his name. He
Yes.
literally has the word horse
Yeah.
in there. So-
One horse strong tree or something like that.
Yeah. I did. I traded Jaffe to a literal translation of Kiryu's name to point out how it's just some Japanese names in fictional stories, video games, movies are presented with kanji that to somebody who doesn't speak Japanese or read kanji or see kanji or recognize like kanji, like there's like a little bit of a comedy value in the name, right? So Kiryu's name translates like literally to one horse strong tree, which is like a really, really stupid, like comedically over the top alpha masculine looking sort of name. So last name Strong Tree, first name One Horse, right? So it's like that's a pretty bad butt name. So he would be a horse, obviously.
I like it.
I think Lara Croft would have one, but I don't know what it would be.
Like a panther, like some sort of climbing cat.
Yeah, climbing cat. I
A
think that's-
jaguar.
A jaguar.
She'd be a jaguar.
Yeah.
Well, this is the part of the show where if you have any recommendations for our audience, something of your own you'd like to plug, or just something you've been enjoying, or advice you would like to impart, this is your platform to do so.
I'll do mine real quick, which is I have a Google alert set up for my name, and I don't I don't care. It's cool.
Oh,
It's good stuff. And I was name dropped in an editorial about someone who was recently enthralled by the Criterion channel and was wondering if games will ever get there. And it's kind
Oh.
of something I can't stop thinking about. So maybe next time on the show, because I think all of us have at least dabbled with the Criterion channel. Is that?
I would use it every day.
I don't want to get into it now, but let's pocket that one.
I have good news. You won this episode, so
Oh, no.
you're going to get to introduce a topic next week.
I guess that's okay. All right,
Yeah.
great. That's going to be my topic next week. So
All right.
I recommend tuning in to the next episode of the Insert Credit Show if you'd like to hear that discussion.
Well, maybe 3 episodes from now, because we're about to go on a little bit of a break.
Oh.
Or I am, anyway. Next week, I believe we're going to do our GDC show, and the week after that is going to be something special.
Something
Okay.
special.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
So in 3 weeks, I will remember to remind you of that.
Well, that's me. That's me. Someone else recommend
Tim, you
something.
got anything?
Bingo. Do I have anything? Do I indeed? I don't know. It's I reached the point where I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what to
It's a
recommend.
little bleak.
Yeah.
Well, you've got some time to think about it. How about you, Casey? What would you like to tell our listeners?
It's not just recommendations, it's also plugs, we should say.
Right.
So if you got anything going on you'd like to share, please do. It's just we've shared our stuff a million times over.
Yeah, where can people find you on Twitch?
Twitch.tv/Casey Explosion. I also have a Steam curator page. Every time I play a game that I like or something I want to recommend, I'll stick it on there. So there's like a nice little master list of games that I recommend.
What are the last few games you put on that list?
Last few games are The Last Spell.
Oh, sorry. I got it open here. All right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Tiny Folks, Returnal.
Returnal for PC, yeah.
Yeah.
I bought that and I've yet to, like, I played it a tiny bit on PS5. Good game.
It is very good.
I really want to enjoy it on my PC, so I'm ready.
People who aren't familiar with it, it's a third-person shooter, but it has the pace of combat, this intense pace of first-person shooter, like a lot of the kind of retro FPS that are popular at the moment.
You've got Dread Templar on here too. That game rules.
That slapped the soundtrack especially,
because
a lot of those games have fantastic soundtracks, but they're often very, very metal. And Dread Templar, once you get further into it, it has some really fantastic. It mixed it up a lot. You get to these kind of pirate like stuff going on with like a hurdy-gurdy going on in there, and it sounds amazing.
That game is a very good video game what I played. I haven't played a ton of it, but I played a couple hours and had a very good time.
Yeah, it's a fun game. There's a load of really terrific kind of retro FPS games that
I'm a big fan of those retro FPS games. That's popcorn for me, you know. It's just
very comfort genre for me because it just scratches an itch that I have that nothing else does. Have you played Cultic?
Yes.
Oh, that's another amazing one, and probably one of my favorites.
Very good.
That soundtrack as well. Again, it's got a more synth heavy soundtrack, and it puts me in the mind of like John Carpenter and the old Fabio Frizzi, who did a lot of like the old Italian.
Yeah, he worked with Lucio Fulci.
Yeah, so on the Beyond and
Manhattan Baby.
Yeah, Zombie Flesh Eaters.
You got some good stuff on here. Faith, Automa, Scorn. Game was hilarious.
I really enjoyed Scorn. I was surprised by it. I can see why people disliked it.
Well, they were expecting something else.
Yeah, and to me it had a bit more of a survival horror sensibility about it. Like, people really complained about the shooting mechanics in there, the combat mechanics, and I loved it because it felt very disempowered, and I treated it more as survival horror than anything else, and loved it for what it did. It was a very much a mood piece.
Brandon, you got anything?
Sure, I got a few. One thing is that if you have a ceiling fan, a lot of them can go backward. So, like if you got your heater near your ceiling fan in the ceiling or something, and then you turn your ceiling fan on and you set it to the backward setting, you just have to like click it a couple of times. It'll push the heat up and out, and then it'll distribute it around your house better. So that's something I only found out somewhat recently, and that's kind of cool.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah. And people have been asking for some more music recommendations, so I got a few. They're not like the gonna blow your mind all the way out, but Frankie Rose has a new album. I like Frankie Rose. I do prefer her album Cage Tropical, which I may have mentioned on here before, but new album's pretty good. She also put out a full cover of The Cure's 17 Seconds, which you can enjoy. Mammoth Volume, which is one of my favorite stoner rock, psych rock kind of bands, has a new album as well, but also all their earlier stuff is on Bandcamp now, so you should check out Single Book of Songs from them. But the new album has like, their older albums are like 5 or 6 super good songs, and then a couple of okay songs, and this one is more like 2 or 3 really good songs and a couple of okay songs, but still worth checking out. And then if you like the Hot Chooms with the Japanese music of the early 90s, I would recommend Ritsuko Kurosawa, who has a bunch of good albums. Confess, Real, Purity, Dish. Those are her 4 albums. Real is the best one in my opinion.
I got those.
Yeah, they're real good. Her first single was called Hot Boy.
Mm-hmm.
She called
Heck of a
herself
song.
Ritz or Reetz for a while. She's pretty good. So I would say give her a look, and maybe you'll have a good time.
Oh, I've got something to recommend for people because I'm looking through Casey Explosion Steam Curator list, and I see you have my Game of the Year 2021, Huga Melodies of Steel, on there.
Oh, God, yes.
To this day, I get people asking me, was that really your favorite game of the year, or were you just trolling? Please stop asking me that. Just check it out, everybody. Because I said it was my favorite game of the year, I'm now on like their mailing list for news, and there was a news update today about the Fuga Melodies of Steel 2 is coming out in a couple months. Check that game out, everybody.
I
original.
would highly recommend that as well.
It's it's one of those games that it hooked me from the beginning, and then it just kind of keeps doing stuff. You know,
I think that would have been easily one of my favorite games if it wasn't for the fact that Mundown came out the same year.
Oh,
that was my 2021 fave.
I like Tail Concerto, and then my mind was I don't know, I love it. I love that game.
I have some recommendations of my own. I'd like to recommend, if you've enjoyed this or any episode of Insert Credit, that you please rate and review our show wherever and however you can. You could also support us on patreon.com/insertcredit, where you could become a patron to submit your own questions and listen to monthly bonus episodes and other neat stuff. You can also join our community at forums.insertcredit.com or find a video of this episode on YouTube. This episode is edited by Esper Quinn with music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Frank Cifaldi.
I'm Tim Rogers.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
I'm Casey Explosion.
And disc on a desk, that's how we resk.
A disc on the desk, dude.